Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And we're here for week 22 of our Tangle of the Week. And for this one, I have chosen something that's more organic or even possibly botanical, but in a fanciful way. So for week 22, we're taking a look at Sedgling by Zentangle. And Sedgling is new to me, so this is my take on it. But it just may be my new favorite because I love Printa, and this combines Printa with, I would call it a stem. So for this project, we'll need our basic materials. So we'll need our black pen, a number 2 pencil, a tortillon, and a beautiful white tile. If you don't have a white tile, you can, of course, use a sketchbook, or you can even practice on computer paper or any paper that you have. I think I'll also be adding a little bit of color to this one. Sometimes it's just fun to add a pop of color. And for that, I have my trusty pack of Crayola colored pencils. And I just have the basic pack of 12 because you can always blend colors together and make more colors. But you can use whatever you want, whatever brand you want, or you could use markers or watercolors, whatever you like, or you have the option of not adding color at all. All right, so for this one, let's get started with our black pen. We're going to use most of the tile for this, so for this one, we won't do the dots and the lines for our border. We're just going to start almost in the center. And we are just going to draw. So let's say our center is, I'm just going to put a little dot there, roughly there. You don't have to put a dot. I'm just kind of visually putting that there to help us out a little bit as we learn this. A little off from the center. I'm just going to draw kind of a little bit of a curved line there. And then I'm going to aura that. And let's check our focus here. Okay. And once we have a stem, then we have the fun part of adding printa to it. And I start a little bit, I like to start on the left and go over to the right and make my printa that way for Sedgling. So starting a little down from the top, I'm going to bring this over, kind of like a cap, and a little bit down from where we started. And then I'm going to lift up my pen and go over to the other side and continue the printa, always bringing it a little bit down. And then I keep going around and around. And let's make our first one a little bit bigger. So I'm going to add one more layer. So it's almost sort of looks a little bit like a lollipop even. All right, I'm going to rotate, and then for my take on Sedgling, I'm starting from the center and working out. But I often see it working from out going in. But I feel it's more plant-like or botanical, working from the center out. So I'm going to make another curved line and aura that. And then I'm going to continue on with another printa, kind of making a cap on there and bringing this a little lower. and then just going around and around in that kind of spiral. And let's do one more like that. I'm going to rotate and I'm just going to keep adding them. And maybe this one is just going to be a little bit smaller. And rotate. Can make this stem a little longer than the others. So you can definitely vary the size or the length of your stems. And you can also vary the preta by going around and around and making it as big or as small as you'd like. And rotate again and add another stem. You can even have them kind of touching or going behind another one. And when that happens, you just lift your pen and kind of air draw over to the other side and then keep going. And maybe this stem is a little longer. And I think we can fit one more in there. I'm going to connect it to that one. Maybe this one will be a little smaller. All right, so we're kind of back where we started. And I kind of like to ink in these areas on either side. That's optional, you don't have to, but I'm going to go back and do that. I just feel that gives it a little more depth. So once we have our first layer of the sedgling, we can go ahead and add a second layer actually. So the way I'm going to do that is we have our stem here. So I'm kind of picturing this continuing on over to here and just having my stem go kind of through and over to the other side. But as it gets farther away, it's getting a little thinner. So we put an extension on our stem and then go back in with the printer. And for the second layer, I do tend to make them a little bit smaller. And then I can ink this in. And maybe for this one, we can keep going and kind of make that an end like that. I'm going to rotate a little bit and do the same thing for all of them. So it's going to be a little shorter. It can even go off the tile. And maybe this one, because we've got a lot of space here, we could do something a little different. So we can bring this side over like this, and then this side can come over like that. And then we can aura each side. So now we've got it branching off. And then we can finish that off with the preta. And maybe this one goes a little higher. But isn't as large. And then for each of these, we can continue on like that. Go back and fill in these areas. So it's very organic in the sense that you can branch off. You can have the stems be as long or as short as you'd like. Um, there's really a lot that you can do with this. So for this one, maybe it's just going to go off the tile like that. And we're back to kind of another corner area here. And we can maybe do that branching again. And last time we started on the left, so for this one, I'm going to start over on the right and see where that takes us. And we're going to go off our tile a little bit. That's fine. And then we have one here. And this one's going to be smaller, but tucked behind the other one just a little bit. And then we can finish our stems. That. So just for this one, really trust your instinct and really tap into your creativity and just kind of go with the flow and see really where it takes you. Um, because this is going to look different for everyone. For this one, I'm just going to end like that without any continuation. And then, oh, we're at our last one already. How fun is that? And we can go one step further and come over here. You can really, if you have a larger piece of paper, you can keep going. So you could add as many or as few as you want, like that. And then I think I'm going to stop there for now for adding them. And oh, I have to ink these in. But if you would like to add more, go right ahead because there is space. But I like to leave a little bit of white space. It just makes it really interesting. So as you rotate it, you can see how interesting this looks. It's fascinating from all angles. All right. So at this point, I am going to pick up my pencil and add a little bit of shading before I add color. So I'm not going to add a lot of shading, but I am going to add some, like right from the center, going out, keeping it a little darker in the center. Like that. And then I am also going to add a little shading right along the stem. I'm adding it on the left side. You could do both sides if you want, or you could do it on the right side. But be consistent and kind of follow that through. Or also maybe you don't want shading, and that's fine too. I remember years ago when I first started learning Zentangle, I wasn't too into shading. I was fascinated with the ink work. And it was like a little later that I really got into shading a lot more. So experiment with that and your preferences. You may find that your preferences change as you progress on your Zentangle journey. So I'm just blending out the ones that we had in the printout areas. And you don't need to do much, especially if you're adding color. And then I'm going to go back in and kind of go back and forth. And I'm just kind of pushing that out. And you might want to add more shading than I did. Just keeping it pretty light. But if you want to take your shading out further, you definitely could. And after adding color, you might even want to go back and take your shading out further. We'll see how it looks once I've put some color on here. Before that, I just want to blend this out as best as I can. Maybe take that up here a little bit. And you can see that you can add shading just with your tortillon. You don't necessarily have to take a pencil to it. Sometimes you can just go back in with your tortillon and add a little bit of shading that way too. That works well for light shading. All right, so we've got some shading in there to really kind of bring that out. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some color. So if you're not adding color, you can go ahead and put your chop on there, put your initials on there, and then fill out the back. Um, but I am going to add a pop of color. Let's see what colors I would like. I'm going to save the stem for last, and I'm going to go ahead and go in there with these preta areas, which are kind of like a little bit floral for me. They kind of remind me of some type of bloom. And I am going to be working with oranges, reds, and yellow here. So mostly oranges. So I'm going to start with, so I think I'm going to start with the orange, and I think it's a red orange. So I'm going to go in and just kind of block this in. So I'm on my outer. I'm working from the out in and just adding a layer of orange. And you don't have to use orange. You can use whatever colors you prefer, blues, violets, pinks. I'm going to leave an area kind of white, kind of like there's maybe a shine on there. I'm going to skip one and then add orange to the next one in there. And then I'm going to switch to my red orange and go in there. And you could blend your colors a little bit if you'd like that. And I think I'm just going to randomly kind of pick here and there where I would like to have um, the orange, red orange combination. And let's kind of go over to here, the small one. And maybe I'm going to go over to this larger one here. Again, when you explore your creativity, just kind of trust your instincts and decide which ones you would like to be the darker ones, the darker orange ones, and which ones we're going to have some lighter ones too. So, but I'm starting with the darker ones here. Hmm. Let's see, we could go back and pick up this one over here. And you could also do this project multicolored. So I'm pretty much sticking with the yellows, oranges, and reds for flower-like area, but you could make them all different if you wanted to, like a rainbow project. That'd be cool too. All right, let's rotate around, and I think I am going to have this one be with the orange and the red-orange color combination. And just enjoy the process. Let's see. We could go in with this one. So I'm always starting from the outside working in, but if you prefer to start from the inside, from the center and work out, that's fine too. And I think for this one, let's rotate around. Sometimes it helps to rotate it around, and it also really helps if you hold it out in front of you at arm's length. That can really help you see it in a new light. Um, I can't do that with this demo, but at home, I would highly recommend just holding it up in front of you and rotating it. I'm kind of thinking that maybe I just want to do all of these with the darker combo. So I'm going to go in and get all of these with the orange. And I would say I'm using medium pressure, in case you were wondering. These are Crayola though, so um, I do have to press a little harder with them than I would like if I were using Prismacolor. So just something to kind of think about. All right, I think we have plenty in that combination. So now we're going to go back in with our orange and our yellow combination. So let's start with this one here. And again, I'm starting on the outside. I've got my orange. So it starts out the same with the orange. And then I'm bringing in the yellow. And for the yellow, I am pressing quite hard. And then I'm going over the orange with the yellow. But I am still keeping a highlighted area here, kind of white. Okay. And we're going to do that for all of the remaining ones. And you might decide that even on these, the original ones we did with the darker combo, you might decide to add some yellow to that as well. The stem, we have two to do. So if you decided to use different colors, I would love to know which color combinations you used because I'm always fascinated by um, how we can work on the same project, but it all turns out different because we make different choices. Um, and that's the wonderful part about art is that you can make it your own. And I definitely encourage you to experiment with that. And then so you can see, so we filled those in and we have our string of the darker combination here. So I'm going to go in and on a couple of them, I'm going to add a little yellow so that you can see what it looks like adding the yellow to the darker combination. It does make it a lot more orange. So I'm going to skip the middle one for now and just come over here and do this one like that. So I've got those filled in. They look pretty cool. And if you like, while working with this combination, if you want to go in with a little bit of red, you could. It's not required, but um, some people might like it a little darker than the red orange is, and you can definitely add a little bit of darkness to that. Oops, I forgot this area here, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Go back and fill that in. Add a little red to it. Mm, to this one. And I think that's all of them. All right, so we have the kind of floral part filled in, and now I want to add some color to my stems. So for that, I've got yellow, green, and green. So I'm going to go in with the green first, kind of on these, on the more bottom area here, the center area. Again, like it's maybe medium pressure. And then once I have a good amount of the green, I'm going to go in with the yellow green. And I'm just going right on top of that all the way back to the center. So I'm just blending with the colors that I have. And then once I've done that, I am going to go back in and get the rest of the stems, but just with the yellow green for right now. And if you want to take it one step further for the very ends of our stems, you can add a little bit of yellow. It probably doesn't show up as well on the demo, but if in person, you can definitely see that it makes a difference. So I like to go back and do that. All right. So that is our sedgling. And this is kind of my take on sedgling working from the center out. Um, I love to rotate it around. It's just so interesting to look at. Um, Fascinating. And it definitely might be in my top 10 now. Um, yeah, it's new to me, and I wish I had known about it sooner because I just love it. So if you'd like to add more shading in there, so once you've got your color in, you can take your shading out further. Remember, you can always add more graphite and make it darker, but you really can't go backwards. So just be careful with that. I'm going to call this done and put my initials on it. And oh, one other thing is that before I do put my initials on it, if you want to go in and add a few like little tendrils in there for interest, so that's something that you can go back and do. They're just kind of squigglies. And I like to add them, especially in the fall. I get in the mood for adding those because I love fall and pumpkins and all that. All that. It's my favorite. Yeah. So go back in and add those. And you could do that also if you want, rather than with your black ink pen, you could do that with the like a green pen, or even a green metallic pen. All right, let's see. Where do I want to add my initials? I think I'm going to add them like right here. Kind of work it into the piece like that. Super cute. All right. So I like to put my name on there and the date. And this is our 2025 weekly tangle. And I think we're on 22. And this is Sedgling. Let me check the spelling on that. Sedgling, Sedgling. Oh, no E. Sorry. No E. I want to put an E in there. I don't know why. By Zentangle. So Sedgling. All right. No E. Um, and then really take a look at it, flip it over, take a look at it, and admire your work. Because this is really cute. I just love this one. Really love it. Um, and I love spending this time with you and learning new tangles and experimenting with shading and color. I'm really into adding color right now. So hopefully we can do that for some more of our weekly tangles. All right. I hope you had fun with this one and learned as much as I did. Yeah, I'd love to know which colors you chose and how it went for you and how you would use Sedgling with other projects. All right, because I love Sedgling so much, you might see this come up again in the near future with other tangles, just to see how that all works out. Because often I rely on like poke root or poke leaf um, to fill in areas, and I think maybe I could use this instead. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, I hope you're all staying cool, and I hope the air quality is much better in your area than it has been here. And I will see you again soon. This has been super fun. Um, and I just, like I said, I love this one, and I love you guys. So I hope you all are well, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Take care. Bye.